Some men go completely quiet the moment something real lands at home. Not cold, not cruel, just gone, right when you need them most. And the conclusion feels obvious. He checked out. The problem didn't matter enough to him. Except that conclusion is almost always wrong, and the actual reason this happens changes everything about what you're looking at. The strange part is that what looks like indifference often starts as the exact opposite. Here's what it usually looks like. Something real happens, a bill that can't be paid, a conversation that's been avoided too long, a moment that needs two people in it. You bring it up, and he goes somewhere else. Not out of the house, necessarily. He might still be sitting right there. Phone in hand, eyes down, giving one-word answers. But the person you needed 5 minutes ago isn't in that room anymore. You carry it. You make the call, send the email, solve the thing. Then you manage his distance on top of it, and you file it. What's actually happening inside him during those moments has less to do with how much he cares and more to do with how his nervous system handles a very specific kind of pressure. John Gottman's research at the University of Washington tracked couples during conflict in real time. The finding that keeps getting cited, because it keeps being replicated, is this. Men in relational conflict tend to reach a flooding threshold faster than women do. Their heart rate climbs higher, their recovery takes longer, and once that threshold is crossed, the nervous system pulls the exit lever. Not as a strategy, not as a punishment, as a shutdown. The behavior that looks like indifference is the afterimage of overwhelm. That sounds almost too convenient, doesn't it? Like a built-in excuse. But stay with it because the shape of the mechanism matters. That state isn't feeling a lot. It's losing access to the part of the brain responsible for language, nuance, empathy, and the ability to stay present with someone who is hurting. Reflection goes first, then self-control. What's left is the older, faster, simpler system. And that system has exactly two settings: fight or get out of range. Most men in functional relationships don't fight. So they get out of range. The phone becomes a wall. The garage becomes a different country. Silence becomes the only thing the nervous system knows how to do when the person in front of you is the source of everything that matters and everything that's currently going wrong at the same time. And here's what makes the whole thing harder to see. Many clinicians and relationship researchers have observed that these reactions tend to become strongest with the people whose opinions matter most. This isn't a clinical anomaly, it's predictable. A man who can sit through a difficult conversation with a colleague without blinking might completely shut down having the exact same conversation with his partner. Not because his partner is wrong to bring it up, because his partner is the person whose judgment of him registers differently than anyone else's. When she brings up the money, or the distance, or the thing that's been building for weeks, he isn't processing it as new information. His nervous system is already reading it as evidence in a case he's been anxious about for longer than he's admitted. And the anxiety doesn't produce stillness, it produces noise. Internal noise so loud that the room he's in stops existing. He goes quiet because the volume inside him is unbearable. Now here is where the pattern gets genuinely cruel, and it has nothing to do with anyone's intentions. She notices the withdrawal. She files it as a data point. She might bring it up later, or she might not, but either way, she adjusts. She stops expecting him to be there for the hard things. She gets very good at handling them alone. She becomes, without anyone deciding this, the only person in the household carrying the full weight of reality. He doesn't see the adjustment happen. From his position, she seems fine. The crisis got handled. Things look stable. He might even feel mild relief that she didn't push harder, that the conversation didn't go to a worse place. He reads her competence as okay. She experiences it as alone. Two people in the same house, tracking two completely different versions of what is happening between them. Christensen and Heavy documented this pattern in couples research in the 90s, and it's been replicated enough times since then to stop being surprising. They called it demand and withdraw. One partner seeks engagement, wants to move toward the problem, wants contact. The other partner moves away. The research found this asymmetry was not random. It tracked consistently along the lines of who had more to lose if the status quo changed, and who was better socialized to treat silence as a form of management. Picture it concretely. She's already on the phone solving the thing while he's still standing in the doorway of the kitchen, not knowing whether to walk in or stay out. Which is why the socialization piece is often more useful to understand than the biology. Boys are not taught to sit with hard feelings in company. They are taught to fix or to exit. Sitting with something unresolved in proximity to someone who is in pain without having a solution to offer was never modeled as a skill. It was never practiced. The result isn't a man who doesn't feel. It's a man who doesn't know what to do with feeling it in front of someone. What makes the cycle close on itself, what makes it so hard to interrupt from inside it, is the way her adaptation makes his pattern invisible to him. She stops bringing the hard things to him. She has a dozen small reasons that make complete sense. She doesn't want to deal with his silence on top of the problem itself. She doesn't want to feel, again, like she's managing him while also managing the crisis. She has learned that bringing things to him costs her more than just solving it herself. So she solves it herself, and he never sees the bill she paid. He never sees her standing in the kitchen at 11 at night, running the numbers, making the decision, carrying it. He never sees the moment she stopped expecting him because she stopped without announcing it. She just quietly closed a door. The relationship continues, the dinners happen, the small talk happens, but something structural has changed, and he doesn't know it because the only signal he would have recognized, her coming to him with the problem, has gone quiet. He thinks things are fine, she is already grieving. Here's what doesn't help, even though it feels like the only available move: telling him in the middle of it or right after exactly how his withdrawal landed, how alone it made her feel, how many times this has happened, how she has been keeping track. That conversation, delivered with its full emotional weight in real time, is almost guaranteed to trigger another round of the same overwhelmed state. Not because he doesn't care, because the information arrives at exactly the moment he's least equipped to receive it. He shuts down again. He goes quiet again. She feels punished for trying to reach him. He feels like he keeps failing without understanding how to do it differently. The loop closes. What actually interrupts the pattern is a different kind of entry condition, and it requires something from both people. For her, the conversation about his withdrawal almost never lands during or after the crisis. It lands in a calm moment, framed not as an accusation of what he didn't do, but as a description of what she needed and didn't have access to. That framing doesn't produce defensiveness the same way. It produces something closer to confusion followed by actual hearing. For him, the harder work. Recognizing that the discomfort of staying in the room when things are hard is not an emergency. It is just discomfort. His nervous system tells him to exit because it has been trained to exit. But the training isn't fate. The threshold can be raised. Men who do this work, who learn to notice that state before it hits shutdown, who learn to say out loud, "I'm overwhelmed right now. I don't know how to help yet, but I'm not leaving," can completely change what their partner experiences in that moment. She asked him once if he could just stay. He stayed. That was the whole thing. No solution, no fix, just present. That sentence costs 3 seconds to say, worth more than 6 months of apologies after the fact. So what is she actually looking at when he goes quiet? She may be looking at a man whose nervous system crossed a threshold before he fully understood what was happening. In many cases, she's looking at someone whose concern is part of what pushed him into shutdown. Who was never taught that sitting inside difficulty with another person is something you can learn to do. Who has been filing his own version of what's happening, which looks completely different from hers. That doesn't make the withdrawal okay. Some people do use silence to avoid responsibility. This isn't about them. The impact is real regardless of the mechanism. She was alone when she needed company, and that is true whether his nervous system has a clinical explanation or not. And that's why the explanation matters, because it changes what you do next. If his silence is indifference, then there is nothing to reach for. If his silence is overwhelmed that he never learned to manage in a relationship, that is a different conversation. Harder in some ways, but possible. He's right there. That was always the problem and also, maybe, the opening. If you've ever lived through this dynamic, hit like. It helps more people find these conversations. Then tell me in the comments what you thought his silence meant the first time it happened. And if this channel is new to you, there's more where this came from. subscribe, and we'll keep looking at the things that are actually happening underneath the things people do.